Hey everybody, welcome to Hit Rewind. This is Michael. That's Jacob.
Hey, everybody, welcome back.
We promised some time ago that we were going to head into the 70s, and I've kind of been dragging my feet, but it is finally time. We're doing late 60s, early 70s, because we did the 60s last year for a little while. And there's kind of just a lot of movies of this era that I would like to watch. A lot of these for the first time, or again after years away, and revisiting some of these. Jacob, are these all brand new to you, or have you seen any of these before?
Well, I will say two of them are familiar for sure, but three are familiar. The other ones I have not seen at all.
Okay.
But there was some familiarity with one of them for sure. I was like, oh, dang. So I've seen this plot somewhere else.
All right. So, what is the first film we're going to discuss?
Well, this one I wanted to get out of the way, just kind of as a segue into the rest of the genre that we're going to be talking about. Dan the Evil Gun.
Terrible title, by the way. Terrible, terrible title. It's so corny and campy. You would think this is from some low budget nothing company. No, this is Warner Brothers, and one of their stock Western guys was Glenn Ford, who is my favorite Western actor. I know that's crazy to a lot of people, but I wasn't much of a Clint Eastwood guy. Definitely not a John Wayne guy. And of this era, he's pretty much my go-to because he's just kind of that all-American, normal Western guy. You probably only know him from Superman as Clark Kent's dad.
Yes, but yeah, having him growing up on so many westerns.
Uh-huh.
Oh, he recognized Glenn Ford immediately. In fact, when we were watching Superman, it's like Glenn Ford was in a lot of westerns I grew up watching.
Okay. I think his big Western was 310 to Yuma, which of course everybody knows the remake of that, where he plays the bad guy of all people, but a very charming bad guy. This is kind of towards the end of his run. He's got a few more films for Disney, but this is pretty much it. His movies were always kind of lower budget, always profitable, but not by a lot. And by this point, he's kind of exhausting his welcome at Columbia and Warner Brothers. I think this is his best. I love 310 You, but I think this is his best film. I think it's a fantastic performance. And if you haven't seen the movie or never even heard of it, it's basically a guy who was a legendary gunman who has given it up. He has left his home because of his history has put his family in danger. And so he finds out that his family has been kidnapped and taken away. And the man who lives on the chunk of land next to them is helping him, but the thing is that he is now in love with his wife, and they're both there's a tension throughout the whole thing that eventually it's going to come to a head that they're going to have to face off. What I think is genius is that basically at no point really does Glenn Ford hold a gun, and when he does, he really has no intentions of killing anybody, which is crazy because he's so well known for being a gunman.
Exactly. It's almost as if he's trying to, redeem himself, like trying to commit to this last job to save his family without having to go back to using a gun.
Yeah, and
Almost as if there was like a lot of guilt in his life.
Yeah, I do not believe he ever actually pulls the trigger now that I think about it. He holds the gun. There's two really strategic moments in this movie where he has to have a gun. Well, maybe only one. Where the scene where the Mexican, he's like the head of his squad in Mexico, and I think he's working with another crew, and he's like, I know you have the money, give me the money, and he basically hunts them down in the middle of nowhere, and it's just two little pieces of buildings or whatever left in this desolate wasteland, and they're using that as like the strategic cat and mouse. I really just like the design. I love the set pieces, the whole thing towards the end when he's with the cavalry that's run away. What do you call that again? I can't remember. Where you leave the military without say so. Oh, AWOL. Whereas there's a handful of guys that are AWOL, and they're basically holding them hostage there while they wait for, I think it's the Apaches, to come and get them. And he has no weapon, and he has to jump from building to building and plan strategically where these guys are going to be, where the other guys are going to be, not get shot with an arrow, and get to his target. I think it was an amazing set piece.
No, absolutely. Yeah. Like I said, I mean, some Westerns, again, having to do with so little, yet create such big impacts with those set pieces.
Yeah, it's not the big budget kind of John Wayne thing where it's a fully loaded cast, there's lots of action. This is more of a character piece with two very well made, sequences because, they didn't have the same kind of money, so they had to make it matter. I really wanted you to see this one. I know it's not one of the big Westerns, but I think it's very interesting.
No, it absolutely was from like start to finish. Oh man, the ending though, it's like, damn, it's a shame it had to come down to me, even after everything they just went through.
Yeah, there is a very small role for Dean Jagger, who's kind of a character actor back in the day, as a crazy man or supposed crazy man. And he's just trying not to let anybody know that he's not insane because that's what his defense is. He's not a gunfighter. He is a traveling whatever man. And the only reason why the Apaches never mess with him is because they feel they're superstitious that you cannot mess with a mentally ill man. So he's just pretending the whole time. And I thought it was a really good performance.
Oh, hands down, yes, it was.
Yeah. And Arthur Kennedy is basically the other man vying for his wife's love. And there's a lot of really good tension there. He was one of those guys that just around at the time, lots of Westerns, but never really a big name.
No, almost like a heavy, but he was a go-to guy for whenever they needed.
Yeah. All right. What is our next film?
Next one also happens to be a Western, definitely more on the comical side.
Yeah.
Oh man. Don Knotts classic, Shakiest Gun in the West.
there's there's a period. It's so funny that Don Knotts at one time was very well loved at the box office. And this is kind of the end of the run for Universal. He has Incredibles to limp it. He had Ghost and Mr. Chicken and this. After that, he does three more for Universal. They don't make any money, and that was the end. But all of a sudden, he signs with Disney, and the entire 70s is loaded to the gills with very successful, all sorts of, there's a couple Westerns in there. It's just so funny to me. The guy, I guess at the time was, well, we can't get Jerry Lewis, and Don Knotts is much, much easier to work with. We're going to go with him. He's, like the Jim Carrey of his time.
Oh wow.
Do you see a lot in what Jim Varney was doing with his Ernest character in Don Knotts?
Honestly, I kind of feel like it was. Now that I think about it, oh dang.
The bug eyes, the mugging, the kind of way of talking like he's really confident, but he's not, that kind of stuff. There's elements of Don Knotts definitely in, I think, Jim Varney's work.
Oh yeah, no, especially like the whole like surprise look.
There's a comedian named Dana Gould, and he did a funny bit about Don Knotts, where he's one of those guys that can never do a prank call, and he does it. And he's like, "Well, I've been looking at you through the bedroom window. Is this Don Knotts?" Not a very subtle voice. You definitely know it's him. So this one is basically, I think he's kind of old, honestly, for the role. But he's kind of like one of those guys that bounces from job to job to job in his life. And he finally figures, hey, I'm going to be a dentist. Lots of shenanigans ensue in his dental school stuff. But then he goes out west because that's where all the opportunities are for new dentists. And along the way, there's cons, there's thievery, there's mistaken identity, and he has to learn how to be a tough guy. And I think it's a really fun performance, and it's a cliche back then, but he pulls the Bugs Bunny, where he's clearly not attractive. He's clearly a man, but he dresses up in the garb, and one of the Native Americans falls in love with. He's like, well, hello, Don Knotts. But I love is that the end is kind of progressive, because the guy finds Don Knotts again, picks him up, and wanders off. And Don Knotts goes, fuck it, why not? What are you gonna do?
Exactly. It's like I'm not gonna argue with this guy. Look
Yeah,
how much bigger he is than me.
there's no homophobia there, so. Uh, and I can't remember her name, but his fake wife. Oh my god! Oh wow! Wowie wow wow.
Oh yeah. Oh no. Basically, she was the reason he survived.
Yeah.
Making him think that he was the gunman who held off all those people, but it was her.
Yeah.
And she even felt so bad at the end, telling him that, because it really did shake up his confidence to the point where the townspeople were just like booing him now.
Yeah, it's not a spoof, which is kind of common in a few years with Blazing Saddles, but it's just a comedy that happens to be set in the Old West, and I think it's fun for the whole family. If you want to introduce them to a Western that's family friendly, PG, this is probably the best you're gonna get.
Yeah. Oh my God. You know who else I recognized? It
Who?
was when he was trying to buy the cart, Pat Morita. from
Oh,
Karate Kid.
I didn't notice him. I guess I didn't realize.
Yeah, no, I was like, wait a minute. The way he was getting swindled and, being told, I'm like, well, this man's Chinese. He knows math. It'll cost this much. So he has to take his word for it. Oh, gosh. And then he ends up remembering that he needs horses to pull the thing.
What is our next film?
Our next film actually is definitely a different genre. We're going more sci-fi. And this is something I remember seeing like when I was much younger. I think it was on later at night, and it was one of the trippiest, like, most unique openings. Barbarella.
Yeah, it's at the time it was really racy. There's hardly any nudity. I think you see her tush for a couple seconds and side boob. But I when I was reading about it, it's like, oh my God, that's like the hottest thing on the planet. And what I love is that it's forward-thinking sci-fi. It's fun, it's sexy, it's kind of it's a little throwback to like the Flash Gordon kind of stuff and its look and the way the ships are designed. It looks like it's just, I never read the comic it was based on, but it's just something that whatever wacky idea can be thrown out there without coming off stupid, they successfully do it. It's just a joyful, fun, sweet little movie.
Oh yeah, but that scene with the dolls at the beginning, good God.
Yeah.
Like if you weren't scared of dolls before.
The band Duran Duran takes their name from the character in this, and I'm trying to remember his name. And so Dino De Laurentiis produced this, or as I like to say, Dino De Laurentiis. But he optioned two comic books around this time. People forget about the other one. It's called Danger Diabolic. And it was the final episode of the original run of Mystery Science Theater, but it's John Philip Law who played, I can't remember the name of the character. He's the one with the wings, the blind guy.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Pygar or something like that.
Yeah.
Pygar.
Oh yeah, Rygar? Pygar? But if you like Barbarella, I would say Danger Diabolic is a lot of fun in that vein. It's more grounded. It's not a sci-fi, but it has a lot of kind of outrageous elements. He's a thief, but he kind of wears a costume like Snake Eyes and stuff like that, and it's kind of campy and fun.
Milo O'Shea was the guy's name.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, the Milo O'Shea played Duran Duran. That's right. I don't know. What did you think of it? Did you feel like there's a lot of influence on the Flash Gordon movie in 1980? It's same producer.
Yeah, definitely. No, in the set design, the fabric, just all the colors and the cinematography. Oh,
Oh,
hands down.
the
Of
colors
course.
are so beautiful. I mean, this is when we're just about to go into really dour sci-fi for a very long time. We get this, and then it's a long gap until Star Wars. Because all of a sudden, in 1969, we get 2001: A Space Odyssey, and then everybody decides sci-fi need to be like that. Well, Planet of the Apes a little bit. That was the same year as this. But no one really said, hey, let's make more movies like Barbarella. Damn it.
I know it's like who else could we cast that could be just as sexy as Jane Fonda?
Yeah, they tried doing this. I believe Drew Barrymore was connected to a remake for a really long time. I think Rose McGowan was connected for a little bit, but I just don't know if it'll ever happen.
Oh, I have a feeling Rose McGowan was also attached to a Red Sonja reboot.
Yeah, I remember that finally got made, but on a much lower budget from a different studio, I think.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'm looking here. Oh, Edgar Wright has the rights right now, and he signed on last year, but of course he's doing Running Man right now, but we'll see if he can get that made. Oh,
Absolutely.
Sydney
You know what
Sweeney.
else was in this?
What?
Marcel Marceau as Professor Ping.
Did he say anything? I don't
Surprisingly, yes. I was like, holy shit, wait, what? Not like that one gag in Mel Brooks' silent movie where he's the only one who said something.
Yeah. All right. What is our next film?
All right, next film. Okay, now this is a film. It's a Walter Matthau double feature. This one I've never seen, but I definitely recognize this plot because I felt like an standard film. Just go with it was like kind of a remake of this, and it is Cactus Flower.
You know what? I think you're actually right. I have to look this up because I actually think that is legitimately a remake.
I was like watching this. Okay, dentist or doctor pretends to be married and lies to the girl he's dating. Uh, being married and, about to leave her, leave his wife for her. And like I said, just all sorts of shenanigans ensue to the point where Walter Matthau goes out of his way to keep the line going.
Yeah, it was I believe it's I'm trying to look right here. All I want to do is look Cactus Flower movie, you fuck. It keeps giving me it just keeps giving me an actual Cactus Flower. Google you're drunk and just go home. Directed by Gene Saks. Gene Saks is mostly known for doing well, he does The Odd Couple. He mostly does stage bound kind of adaptations, for theatrical release. Let me look right here. Did it get remake? It's no, it doesn't say it's clearly, it says an influence. Oh, it does say, there it is. English language remaking, just go with it. There we are. English language. Okay, this is weird. So it was remade several times as foreign films, but then it says an English language remake. Well, that's bullshit because this is in English.
Exactly. And again, just great supporting cast all around. Bergman as the secretary.
Oh, phenomenal. I can't believe how good she looks. It was astounding. And you see her daughter so clearly.
Oh, absolutely. And then, of course, this movie starts off with Goldie Hawn just upset, ready to commit suicide because Walter Matthau stood her up. This character, Walter Matthau, straight up just does not want commitment, so he comes up with the whole Mary thing.
Uh-huh.
Ugh.
Yeah, and his just the wraparound lies and building upon and building upon, and somehow he gets his friend Jack Weston involved. No, actually, isn't Jack Weston just a patient that he gets involved in the whole thing? So he pretends to be dating his wife, but she breaks up with, like, she's like, I don't want to be around that guy, so she starts going out with someone else. It's really funny just moving the pieces around this chessboard that doesn't even need to exist in the first place. If he just said he didn't want to commit, what an idiot!
Exactly, I know. And then in the end, does it have a happy ending? Yes. He ends up falling in love with Ingrid Bergman.
Yeah, I mean, we're not spoiling anything. If you don't know this is how it's going to go, you're a fool.
Exactly. Plus, it's Ingrid Bergman, man.
Yeah. Goldie Hawn's debut, and she wins an Oscar for this performance.
And it's Goldie Hawn. I mean, I couldn't expect anything less.
Yeah, probably my favorite actress. I think I mentioned that before when we were doing Private Benjamin, but I keep thinking, like, who are my favorite actresses? And I think she is it, which is funny because my favorite actor is Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon. Look, I count them as one. It's weird. I know. It's not fair.
Well, considering how much they bounce off each other, they're like two halves of the same coin.
Yeah. Which brings us to our final film, The Odd Couple. Not the first movie with them together. A lot of people forget that. They did The Fortune Cookie 2 years earlier. But this is the one that everybody really knows it for. This thing was a phenomenon. Cost $1 million, made nearly $50 million, spawned more than one TV show, I think. Of course, there's the classic TV show from the 70s, but then there was an animated version. There was an updated version, 82, where they took the same scripts, but they cast black actors. And then I think briefly there was a female Odd Couple. And then 5-6 years ago, there was a version with Matthew Perry on CBS. It's one of the most perfect plays. My dream is to be able to do the play, but play both parts. Not at the same time. I'm not insane. I can't do both, but I like if I could do, Oscar for a while and then do Felix for a while.
Yes. So it's like when this particular run is done, you go and do it again as the other character. I get you.
Yeah.
I don't blame you. I mean, honestly, I feel like that. I mean, for a lot of us guys, especially when we were taught growing up how to clean, definitely would like say like, yeah, this is like what's the right word? Yin and yang kind of.
You're right. And what it's look, I have to side with Walter Matthau. He is very gross in this movie. He is a slob. But Felix, Jack Lemmon's character, is out of his fucking mind. He is one of the most neurotic, fidgety, and this is coming from someone who is very fidgety and neurotic, but this is next level, holy shit, insane kind of performance. I couldn't stop laughing with his ear thing, in the restaurant, and Walter Matthau's like, what the fuck are you doing? Are you okay? Stop that. Please stop it. Please stop it. Everybody's looking at us. Just no sense of like, oh, maybe I should stop.
Yeah, absolutely. He just wants to hurry up and get that over with. But I mean, at the beginning, we definitely see Felix, going through a midlife crisis. Like he wants to end himself, and Walter Matthau takes it in to watch him over. And yeah, it's beneficial, have him around because he's cleaned up his apartment, did grocery shop, cooked, and all that, helped him with his alimony. But at the same time, it's like, dude, there's got to be some boundaries.
Yeah. I totally fucking forgot. There's a sequel to this. When I was mentioning all the spin-offs and remakes and stuff, the sequel, I don't hate it. I know why it didn't do very well and critics didn't care for it. It's hard to capture that magic, and it did seem like kind of like, we love each other. It's been 30 years. Let's just reteam and have fun. It's more of like a just hang out with each other and get a paycheck. Where like the Grumpy Old Men felt much more legitimate films. But yeah, I'm not going to shit on it. It's a road trip movie with those two, and it's just so much fun watching them together.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, again, it's like you couldn't have one without the other in a movie, like at that point.
Yeah. So I will say this though. I love the play, I love the movie, but I am more of the TV show guy. They really curb some of his insanely annoying habits where they're just kind of just like literally an odd couple like this. I don't know. Jack Klugman and Tony Randall, I think, are a fantastic duo as well.
Yeah. The TV show I was more familiar with, just, growing up, watching, like, Nick at Night,
Yeah, yeah.
all those, like, all those old school late night TV shows. I couldn't help it.
I'm trying to remember. So it's not originally Jack Lemmon. It was Art Carney was the original version on in the play. And I'm trying to think of all the actors because it took them a while to find Jack Lemmon. Because they know they offered it to a whole bunch of other people, and a lot of different people stepped in and replaced. What's funny is like 2 years after this movie in Canada, they did a big production where it was Martin Short and Eugene Levy and Dave Thomas. This is before SCTV. Yeah, I know. And in much, much younger, we're talking probably about 22, 24 at the time. I would love if someone would film that. And I know for a while there, they were really trying to get Billy Crystal and Robin Williams to do it to help promote Father's Day. They were just going to
Oh
do it.
my God.
Yeah, they were going to do it for a couple months, but it kept getting delayed. And then Father's Day bombed, and they both changed their mind.
Oh.
God, I'm trying to remember. I feel like there was someone else really big attached to the film version, and I can't remember. But this is one of those plays that never dies. It's always, it's a very easy to do play because it's usually just one or two sets. So any like local playhouse can do it. It just depends on like, can you get the right people to do it, to get it together.
Yes, exactly. I mean, you want them to have like chemistry and familiarity and really bounce off each other really well.
Yeah.
Going at each other's throats.
Here it is. Originally, this is crazy. They already had Art Carney and Walter Matthau. You think they would go with them, but at one point, the studios were looking at Frank Sinatra and Jackie Gleason. I do not see Frank Sinatra cannot pull off neurotic, and it just can't. I do not see it. Yeah, but I see him more as the Oscar, if anything else. Dick Van Dyke and Tony Randall were in the talks. I think Dick Van Dyke would have been really good. Mickey Rooney and then Jack Klugman, because I think Jack had already done it on Broadway. So it's kind of interesting how this could have changed, and their pairing may have just died right there, Like, it could have just been Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon and Fortune Cookie, and then he never worked together again. But I'm trying to remember, it's Fortune Cookie, Odd Couple, The Front Page, Buddy Buddy, which no one remembers that one. I think it's kind of funny. In fact, I think it might be lost. You have to find a VHS copy on YouTube. Then the Grumpy Old Men 2, or Grumpy or Old Man. There's Out to Sea, The Grass Harp, which is kind of a small budget drama they're in together. And then I think the last one's Odd Couple 2.
Oh, yeah, no. Because I remember shortly sometime after that, yeah, Walter Matthau passed.
Yeah, I think it was like 2 years later, and then Jack died, a year later maybe?
Yeah, 2001, I think.
Yeah. But just an absolutely wonderful play. If you haven't seen the movie, give it a shot. I think it's a lot of fun.
Oh, absolutely. I know. This is definitely a classic for a reason.
Yeah. All right, anything else you want to say before we go?
Yeah, I would never let my place or my refrigerator go that bad as Walter.
It's pretty disgusting. Yeah. I think what's so funny is, did you happen to notice whenever they're playing cards, they always leave the seat facing the camera open?
Actually, yeah, now that you say that, holy crap, yeah, I noticed that now.
Yeah, as if it was on stage. That's the way they have it, so that the person that would be sitting in that seat would not have his back to the audience and nobody would be able to hear him. So it's interesting in the movie to do that. Now, if he did it, probably like one of those fucking Michael Bay shots where it's a circular camera going all the way around the table, like in Reservoir Dogs, you know?
Yeah, but Michael being a play, I think it makes sense to shoot it that way.
Yeah, yeah. All right, everybody. That is it for this episode. Thank you for listening. And Jacob, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. All right. Namaste. Good luck, my friends. Be excellent to each other.
I don't know what to say now. It's the 70s. Be groovy. Hey. I'm fucking square as shit, man. Sock it to me. That's it. All right, bye.